Welcome to our deep dive into Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
Ooh, exciting.
We're going to unpack some pretty powerful concepts today about unlocking your potential.
Yeah, this is a book that can really change the way you see yourself and the world.
It's all about understanding, what shapes our actions and then taking control.
And what I find so fascinating is Robbins goes beyond just, motivation and inspiration.
Right?
He gives you a framework, a practical guide to understand those forces that are driving us.
I think that's what makes it so much more than just a self-help book.
Absolutely.
One of the things that really stood out to me was this idea of neuroassociations.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
How our brains link pain and pleasure to our behaviors.
Right. It's like our brains are constantly running this cost-benefit analysis, pushing us towards pleasure and away from pain,
And it's often happening on a subconscious level.
which is where it gets really interesting.
Right, like you don't even realize it's happening.
Exactly.
He gives the example of his childhood experience with alcohol.
Oh,
He saw some family members, behaving badly under the influence,
right.
and that created this link between pain and alcohol for him.
Even though he never became a drinker himself?
Right, it's just that association was there.
It's powerful how these early experiences can shape our choices.
Absolutely, and we see this in advertising too.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Companies using those catchy jingles or celebrity endorsements to make you associate their product with something positive.
Right. They're trying to tap into that pleasure response.
It really made me think about my own buying habits.
Yeah, are those really my preferences, or have I been subtly influenced
Exactly.
by some clever marketing campaign?
Makes you wonder.
For sure.
But here's the thing. Robbins says we can rewire these associations,
That's the good news.
even the ones that are really deeply ingrained,
Yeah, you're not stuck with them.
through a process he calls neuroassociative conditioning, or NAC.
NAC.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
So it's a 6-step process, and it's designed to help you break free from these limiting patterns and create lasting change.
Okay, so it's not enough to just want to change. You need a really powerful motivator.
You need leverage.
Leverage, that's what he calls it.
He tells his story about a CEO he knew who was addicted to chewing tobacco.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't until he connected quitting to his core value of being in control of his life,
Right.
and imagined the pain of mouth cancer, that he finally found the leverage to quit.
So you almost have to convince yourself that the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing.
Yeah. Otherwise, why bother?
Right.
It's like that old saying, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Exactly. We're wired to avoid pain.
Right.
So you have to tap into that aversion to fuel real change.
And this applies to so many areas of life, not just habits like smoking.
Absolutely. Anything you want to change.
Think about a goal you've been putting off, maybe starting a business or writing a book.
Right. What would be the long-term pain of staying stuck?
Yeah, and on the flip side, what would be the incredible pleasure of finally achieving that goal?
Writing those down, that could be your leverage. I love that.
It's a powerful exercise.
It's really making me rethink how I approach my goals.
Me too.
Okay, so we've got these neuroassociations influencing our choices, and we can use NAC to rewire them.
So what else is crucial for unlocking our potential?
Well, Robbins places a lot of emphasis on the power of beliefs.
Beliefs. Yeah, those underlying assumptions we hold about ourselves, the world, and other people.
And he says that even seemingly small beliefs can have a huge impact on our actions and outcomes.
He uses the example of runners breaking the 4-minute mile.
Oh, yeah.
For years, people believed it was physically impossible.
Right. It was like this mental barrier.
And then in 1954, Roger Bannister did it.
He broke the record.
And within a year, several others followed suit.
So it was like that limiting belief was shattered.
Exactly.
And what seemed impossible suddenly became achievable.
It makes you wonder, what limiting beliefs are we holding on to that are preventing us from achieving what we're truly capable of?
Right. What if we're selling ourselves short without even realizing it?
Yeah, it's a powerful question to ask.
It reminds me of that saying, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
That's so true.
So how do we identify and challenge these potentially limiting beliefs?
Well, Robbins encourages readers to really examine those ingrained assumptions.
Like, where'd they come from? Are they even true?
Exactly. For example, someone might subconsciously associate wealth with negative qualities like greed or stress.
Right.
But if that's your belief, it's going to be hard to achieve financial abundance.
Because your actions won't align with your desires.
You're basically setting yourself up for self-sabotage.
I can see how that applies to so many areas of life, from relationships to career goals to everything.
It's a good reminder to ask ourselves, is this belief actually serving me? Or is it holding me back?
And if it's holding me back, what can I do to shift it?
Exactly.
But beyond beliefs, Robbins says there's an even deeper level at play, our values.
Values, yeah. This is where things get even more personal.
So he believes that our values, the things we prioritize most in life, are actually driving our behavior.
But here's the thing. He argues that many of us are actually living by values we haven't consciously chosen.
So it's like we're on autopilot, pursuing things that don't truly resonate with us.
Exactly. And that can lead to a sense of unfulfillment.
That makes sense.
Robbins encourages readers to take a step back and really think about what truly matters to them.
Like, what do they actually value?
He provides a whole exercise for mapping out your values.
I remember that it involves ranking different values based on their importance to you.
Right. The goal is to create a clear picture of what drives you at a deeper level.
So we've got these neuroassociations shaping our choices, beliefs, influencing our possibilities, and values driving our actions.
It's like these three forces are constantly at play, shaping our destinies.
And by understanding these forces and consciously choosing empowering beliefs and values, we can break free from limitations.
And start to truly awaken the giant within.
It all starts with that awareness, right?
Awareness is the first step.
Recognizing the patterns, the beliefs, the values that are driving our behavior.
And then it's about making conscious decisions, taking control, and steering our lives in the direction we want to go.
But how do we actually make those decisions?
Well, Robbins has a pretty intriguing answer to that: questions.
Questions, huh?
He believes that the questions we habitually ask ourselves determine the direction of our thoughts and actions.
So instead of dwelling on problems, we should be asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? Or what's the opportunity here?
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus towards possibility and empowerment.
That's a powerful shift.
He gives the example of Donald Trump during the 1980s real estate market downturn.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
While others were panicking, Trump was asking himself, how can I get rich while everyone else is afraid?
Right, and that question led him to make very different decisions.
And ultimately to capitalize on opportunities others were missing.
So the questions we ask ourselves literally shape our reality.
It's like we're programming our own minds.
But how do we know which questions to ask? How do we develop that awareness?
Robbins encourages readers to pay attention to their self-talk.
That inner monologue that's constantly running in the background.
What kind of questions are you asking yourself? Are they leading you towards solutions or reinforcing limitations?
This is really making me think about the stories I tell myself.
Yeah, what are the narratives that are shaping your world?
And more importantly, are those narratives serving me?
That's a powerful question to consider.
It is.
And it leads us into another fascinating concept from the book, transforming our vocabulary.
Transforming our vocabulary. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Robbins believes that the words we use have a profound impact on our emotional states and our actions.
He has that story about changing the word furious to peeved, right?
Yes. He noticed that a highly successful friend of his rarely got angry.
Right, even in stressful situations.
And when he did express frustration, he'd use words like peeved or annoyed rather than stronger terms.
Right.
Robbins decided to try it himself and found that by simply changing the words he used to describe his feelings,
He could instantly lower his emotional intensity.
and shift his state.
It's like those words are containers for our emotions.
Yeah, and if we're constantly using words that amplify negative feelings, we're just reinforcing those patterns.
But if we can consciously choose words that evoke a more positive emotional response,
We can literally change how we experience the world.
it's like choosing a different lens through which to view the world.
I like that analogy.
It's making me realize that I have more control over my inner landscape than I give myself credit for.
Me too.
It's not just about reacting to what happens.
It's about consciously choosing how you want to feel and how you want to respond.
This is powerful stuff.
And that's a key theme in Awaken the Giant Within.
It's about recognizing the power we have to shape our own realities.
But that power extends beyond just our vocabulary.
Okay, where else does it show up?
It also encompasses the metaphors we use to understand and interpret the world.
Metaphors, huh?
Think about it. We use metaphors all the time to make sense of our experiences.
Like life is a battlefield.
Exactly. Or love is a journey. These metaphors create a framework for understanding and navigating those experiences.
But those frameworks can be either empowering or limiting, depending on the metaphor we choose.
Exactly. And Robbins argues that we often unconsciously adopt metaphors that limit our potential.
Interesting.
He tells a powerful story about an opera singer who lost a significant amount of weight after adopting the metaphor of his body as a temple.
Wow.
He started treating his body with reverence and respect, and as a result, he achieved a transformation that had previously seemed impossible.
It's like having a growth mindset.
Right, where you see challenges as opportunities for learning rather than roadblocks.
Like choosing to view life as an adventure rather than a struggle.
Precisely. And Robbins encourages readers to examine the metaphors they're using.
And to consciously choose ones that support their goals and aspirations.
What metaphors are shaping your reality? Are they serving you or are they holding you back?
It's a powerful question to consider.
It is.
This is already so much to digest.
I know, right?
We've explored how neuroassociations, beliefs, values, questions, vocabulary, and even metaphors shape our reality.
It's like peeling back the layers of our own minds.
It really is.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's still so much more to explore in Awaken the Giant Within.
Including Robbins' powerful insights into mastering our emotions and setting compelling goals.
It sounds like we're in for quite the journey.
We are.
But before we delve into those topics, what stands out to you so far from this deep dive?
I think what's really striking me is how much control we actually have over our experience of the world.
Yeah.
It's not just about reacting to what life throws at us.
Right.
It's about understanding those forces that shape our thoughts, feelings, and actions.
And then using that knowledge to create a reality that reflects our true potential. I agree, it's incredibly empowering.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to explore even more of Robbins' strategies for doing just that.
Stay tuned, because we're just getting started. Welcome back to your deep dive into Awaken the Giant Within. Last time we were talking about how our neuroassociations, beliefs, values, and even the language we use can shape our reality.
It was pretty mind-blowing to realize just how much control we have over our internal world.
Right. But what about those times when it feels like we're being totally hijacked by our emotions?
That's a great point. And actually, Robbins has a really interesting perspective on emotions. He doesn't see them as enemies to be suppressed,
Oh, interesting.
but rather as valuable signals.
Okay, so emotions are like messengers, but sometimes those messages can be pretty intense.
Right. So how are we supposed to deal with those tough emotions like fear or hurt or disappointment?
Without letting them, completely derail us.
Exactly.
Well, Robbins points out that many of us try to cope with these emotions in ways that ultimately don't really serve us. He describes 4 common but ineffective approaches: suppression, isolation, competition, and resignation.
So these are basically defense mechanisms, ways of trying to avoid or minimize the discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Robbins is saying that these approaches actually keep us stuck in the long run.
It's like trying to ignore a flashing warning light on your car's dashboard.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
It might make you feel better in the moment, but it's not going to solve the problem.
Right, you're just delaying the inevitable.
So what's the alternative? How are we supposed to deal with those difficult emotions in a way that actually helps us move forward?
Robbins encourages us to embrace those emotions, to feel them fully, and then use them as fuel for growth.
I'm not sure I follow. How can we use, say, fear as fuel? Isn't fear supposed to be a bad thing?
Well, think of it this way. Fear can be a signal that we need to prepare more thoroughly,
Okay.
to gather more information, or to practice a new skill.
So instead of letting fear paralyze us, we can use it to motivate us to take action.
Precisely, it's about transforming that energy into something productive.
I like that.
And Robbins offers similar strategies for other challenging emotions. For example, when it comes to hurt, he suggests communicating our feelings to the person involved, seeking clarification, and focusing on forgiveness.
So it's about addressing the issue head on rather than letting it fester and potentially damage the relationship.
Exactly. And when we experience disappointment, Robbins encourages us to extract valuable lessons from the experience, adjust our expectations, and set new goals that are more aligned with what we've learned.
It's about turning setbacks into opportunities for growth. This is really making me rethink how I approach my own emotional landscape.
It's a powerful shift.
Instead of trying to avoid or suppress those difficult emotions, what if I can learn to see them as guides,
Yeah,
as opportunities to understand myself better and make more empowered choices?
that's the essence of Robbins' approach to emotions. It's about taking ownership of our feelings and using them as tools to create the lives we truly desire.
Okay, so we're learning to master our emotions. What's next on Robbins' roadmap to awakening the giant within?
Well, he dives into a topic that might surprise you: goal setting.
Goal setting that doesn't sound particularly revolutionary.
I know, right? But Robbins takes a very unique approach to goal setting.
Okay, how so?
He goes beyond just, writing down a list of things you want to achieve.
Right.
He emphasizes the importance of not only setting goals, but also becoming the kind of person who can achieve those goals.
So it's about aligning your inner world with your outer desires.
Exactly. It's about developing the beliefs, the values, the skills, and the habits that will support you on your journey to achieving your full potential.
That makes sense.
He walks readers through a detailed exercise where they envision their ideal future in various areas of life,
Like what kind of areas?
including personal development, career, relationships, and contribution.
So it's about getting really specific and imagining yourself living that ideal life in vivid detail.
Exactly, and that's a key principle of neuroassociative conditioning. By creating those strong positive associations, by linking pleasure to the vision of our goals, we're more likely to take action and persevere even when we encounter challenges.
So it's not just about setting a goal and hoping for the best. It's about consciously creating those neuroassociations that will pull us towards our desired outcomes.
Precisely. But Robbins also stresses the importance of taking action,
Right.
breaking down those big goals into smaller, manageable steps and building momentum.
It's about consistently moving in the direction of your dreams, even if it's just one small step at a time.
Exactly, and this reminds me of that quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step."
I love that.
It's about taking those consistent actions even when you don't feel like it, because that's what builds momentum and creates lasting change.
That's so true. Consistency is key.
Absolutely.
But Robbins also emphasizes the importance of contribution.
Yes, using our talents and gifts to make a positive impact on the world.
And he argues that true fulfillment comes not just from achieving our own goals, but also from making a difference in the lives of others,
He shares his own inspiring story of establishing the Anthony Robbins Foundation.
which is dedicated to empowering those in need.
It's a powerful reminder that contribution can be a source of immense joy and motivation.
This resonates with me. There's something incredibly fulfilling about using your skills and passions to make a difference.
Absolutely, it's about giving back and making a positive impact.
So we've explored Robbins' insights into mastering our emotions and setting compelling goals. Is there anything else that stands out to you as we approach the end of this deep dive?
Well, one of the most intriguing and challenging aspects of Awaken the Giant Within is what Robbins calls the 10-day mental challenge.
Okay, this sounds intense. What is it?
It's essentially a boot camp for your brain.
Okay.
For 10 consecutive days, you're not allowed to entertain any negative thoughts.
Wait, what? Not a single negative thought for 10 whole days. That sounds impossible.
It's definitely not easy.
I can imagine.
But Robbins argues that it's crucial for breaking free from those ingrained patterns of negativity that prevent us from reaching our full potential.
So if you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, you have to immediately replace it with a positive one.
Yes, and this applies to everything.
Everything.
Your self-talk, your judgment about others, your outlook on situations.
Wow.
It requires a serious commitment to monitoring your thoughts and consciously choosing to focus on the positive.
This sounds like an incredible exercise in self-awareness and discipline, but what's the point? What's the benefit of taking on such a challenge?
Robbins believes that by consciously choosing to focus on the positive,
Okay.
by shifting our mental and emotional state,
Right.
we can literally create a more empowering reality for ourselves.
So it's about retraining our brains?
Exactly, to see opportunities rather than obstacles, to focus on solutions rather than problems.
It's about building that mental muscle. The more we practice choosing positive thoughts, the easier it becomes.
Precisely. It's about developing a new mental habit, a way of being in the world that's more aligned with our goals and aspirations.
But Robbins acknowledges that it's not easy, right? It takes effort and vigilance.
He does, but he also says the rewards are worth it.
Okay.
By developing this mental discipline, you create a foundation for success in all areas of life. It's about taking ownership of your inner world and consciously creating a more positive and empowering reality.
Wow, this mental challenge sounds incredibly challenging, but also potentially transformative.
It is. It's a powerful exercise.
It's about taking control of our thoughts and choosing to focus on what empowers us rather than what drains us.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that we have more control over our inner world than we often realize, and by cultivating that control, by mastering our thoughts and emotions, we unlock a world of possibilities.
All right, so we've explored a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about neuroassociations, beliefs, values, the power of questions, transforming our vocabulary, mastering our emotions, setting compelling goals, and even taking on the 10-day mental challenge.
Sounds like Robbins has provided this comprehensive framework for personal growth.
He has, and he weaves together these seemingly disparate topics in a way that highlights their interconnectedness. He emphasizes the importance of aligning all aspects of our being.
Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our values, and our actions.
Exactly, all in service of creating a life that truly reflects our full potential.
It's a powerful reminder that we're not just passive recipients of our circumstances.
We have the power to choose the thoughts we dwell on, the beliefs we embrace, the goals we pursue, and ultimately the kind of person we become.
It's about taking ownership of our lives.
But before we wrap things up, there's one more fascinating concept from the book that I want to touch on. Robbins spends quite a bit of time talking about the power of what he calls our master system.
Ah, yes, the master system.
It's essentially the operating system of our minds, that intricate network of values, beliefs, rules, and references that shapes how we interpret and respond to the world.
And Robbins argues that by understanding how our master system works, we can identify and change any patterns that are holding us back from experiencing the life we desire.
He suggests that one of the most powerful ways to create lasting change is to shift our identity, to consciously choose who we want to be, rather than remaining defined by past experiences or limiting beliefs.
It's about rewriting the story we tell ourselves about who we are.
Precisely. He gives that powerful example of a prisoner of war who was forced to betray his comrades.
Oh, wow.
In order to maintain his own sense of integrity, he had to shift his identity to align with his actions.
That's fascinating.
He convinced himself that what he had done was right.
Wow.
And that shift in identity transformed his entire worldview.
It's a chilling example, but it highlights how incredibly powerful our self-perception can be.
The stories we tell ourselves about who we are literally shape our reality.
And Robbins encourages us to question those stories, to examine whether they are truly serving us.
And to consciously choose a new identity that is more aligned with our goals and aspirations.
It's a pretty radical concept, isn't it?
It is, to think that we can actually redefine ourselves, shed those limiting labels, and step into a more expansive version of who we can be.
It's incredibly liberating.
It's about recognizing that we're not fixed or defined by our past. We have the capacity to evolve, to grow, and to create a new identity that reflects our true potential.
This is making me think about the labels I've been carrying around, the stories I've been telling myself.
Me too. Are they empowering me or holding me back?
It's a powerful question to consider.
And by consciously choosing a new identity, a new story, we can unlock a world of possibilities.
It's about choosing to be the hero of our own story.
I love that.
Right.
But how do we actually make that shift?
How do we go from feeling stuck in an old identity to embracing a new one that feels more authentic and empowering?
That's the big question.
Well, Robbins offers several strategies for making this shift.
Okay.
But one of the most powerful is through our actions.
Our actions.
He argues that our actions are a reflection of our identity.
So if we want to change our identity, we need to start acting in ways that are consistent with that new identity.
Exactly. It's about taking those small steps, those consistent actions that reinforce the story we want to tell ourselves about who we are.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Precisely. But what about those times when we feel like we're falling back into old patterns? Those times when we're doubting ourselves and questioning our ability to change.
Those moments can be so discouraging.
Robbins acknowledges that those moments of doubt are inevitable.
Okay.
But he encourages us to see them as opportunities to reaffirm our commitment to our new identity.
So it's about recognizing those moments of self-doubt, acknowledging them, and then consciously choosing to step back into that empowered version of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about remembering that we have the power to choose who we want to be in every moment.
It's about taking ownership of our choices and recognizing that our destiny is ultimately shaped by the decisions we make.
And that leads us to the heart of what Awaken the Giant Within is all about. It's about recognizing that we all have a giant within us, a wellspring of potential that is waiting to be unleashed. But it's up to us to do the work, to make those conscious choices, to break free from limitations, and to step into a life that truly reflects our greatness.
It's a powerful message, and it seems like Robbins's goal with this book is to equip readers with the knowledge and the tools they need to embark on that journey of self-discovery and empowerment. But how do we even begin to take all of this in?
Right, it's a lot to process.
It's such a wealth of information.
Well, Robbins emphasizes that it's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
It's about taking those small steps, those consistent actions that move us in the direction of our desired outcomes.
So it's not about trying to overhaul our entire lives overnight.
Right.
It's about focusing on those small shifts, those incremental changes that over time can create a profound transformation.
Exactly. It's about building momentum one step at a time.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far.
It has.
We've explored so many powerful concepts, from Awaken the Giant Within.
From the power of neuroassociations to the importance of choosing our beliefs and values to the transformative potential of shifting our identity.
It's like Robbins has given us a toolkit for personal transformation.
He has. It's an incredible gift.
But I'm curious what's resonating most deeply with you as we wrap up this exploration.
What's striking me is the emphasis on taking a holistic approach to personal growth.
Mm.
It's not about focusing on just one area of life.
Right.
It's about aligning all aspects of our being.
Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our values, and our actions.
Yes, all in service of creating a life of purpose and fulfillment.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're not these compartmentalized beings. Everything is interconnected.
It all works together.
And by understanding those connections, by harnessing the power of our minds and emotions.
We can truly awaken the giant within.
And I think that's a great place to pause for now, letting these ideas sink in.
Take some time to reflect.
Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into Awaken the Giant Within, where we'll continue to explore the power we all have to shape our own destinies.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Tony Robbins's Awaken the Giant Within.
It's been quite a journey. It has. We've covered so much ground, from the power of beliefs and values to the importance of mastering our emotions and consciously shaping our identities.
It's like we've been given a toolkit for personal transformation.
It's one thing to read about neuroassociations or the 10-day mental challenge, but it's another to actually implement those ideas in our lives.
Right. It's about putting these concepts into action.
Exactly. And Robbins acknowledges that this work isn't always easy.
It takes effort.
And discipline.
And a willingness to, push past our comfort zones.
He talks about the importance of facing our fears, challenging those limiting beliefs, and taking consistent action, even when we don't feel like it.
It's about showing up even when it's hard.
And he stresses the power of decision.
Oh, yeah. Decision is huge.
Robbins argues that in every moment, we have the power to choose how we respond, how we interpret events, and what actions we take.
This is where we really step into our power.
Right? Recognizing that we're not just victims of circumstance.
We have agency.
Yeah.
We have the ability to shape our own destinies.
And that's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
It's a lot of responsibility, but it's also incredibly liberating.
Robbins gives us a roadmap, though, right?
He does. He provides those practical tools and strategies we can use to rewire our neuroassociations, transform our beliefs, align our values, master our emotions, set compelling goals.
It's like he's given us the keys to the kingdom, but it's up to us to open the door and step inside.
That's a great way to put it.
What resonates most with you as we wrap up our deep dive into Awaken the Giant Within?
I think for me, it's the reminder that we're all capable of so much more than we often realize. We each have this incredible power within us, waiting to be awakened.
We all have that giant within.
And this book gives us a guide to understanding the forces that shape our lives and harnessing those forces to create a reality that reflects our true potential.
It's an invitation to step into our greatness.
And to make a positive impact on the world.
And that journey starts with a simple but profound realization. We have the power to choose. We can choose our thoughts, we can choose our beliefs, we can choose our actions, and ultimately we can choose the kind of person we become.
That's a powerful message to carry with us as we move forward.
So as you go about your day, ask yourself, what one small action can you take today, inspired by the insights from Awaken the Giant Within, to start awakening that giant within yourself?
It's those small steps that lead to big transformations.
The journey starts with a single step, and you have everything you need within you to make that step and to create a life that is truly remarkable.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep awakening to the power that lies within you.